It is officially the last month of 2023. November was nuts in terms of sneakers. There was so many sneakers that I really liked. And December, I can't say it's as good. There's some very cool shoes that are coming out, but personally I think there's fewer highlights, but the highs might be just as high as November. And because it is a new month, it's time for double up, buy once or pass. And the concept is simple. If I love a shoe, I give it a double up. If I like but don't love a shoe, it's a buy once. And pass, it's obvious what pass is. Now disclaimer, I can't get every sneaker release onto this list. This video would be too long, I'm gonna lose my voice. And second disclaimer, sneaker release dates, they change all the time. There's gonna be shoes that are gonna release in December that's not gonna be here, that no one knows is going to release. And then there are shoes that are gonna be pushed back out. So if I get the dates wrong, don't blame me, blame them. Here we go. On December 2nd, for $150, it is a pair of Terminator highs, both for historically black colleges. First one I'm going to talk about is Spelman College. That is long believed to be the oldest historically black college for women in the United States, founded all the way back in 1881. Now this Spelman College Terminator features obviously Spelman College colors, featuring a leather base layer with suede overlays, and you'll see the founding year 1881 on the forefoot, as well as the phrase "Thy name we praise" on the heel, and jaguar paws both on the icy outsole as well as the insole, and that is a tribute to the Lady Jaguars. Now there's more branding, the laces say "Undaunted by the Fight," and there's also the emblem of the school on the tongue, as well as a message inside the tongue that says "A choice to change the world." Now I think the colors of the shoe, it's really nice. I do like that blue, the UNC blue, which this one is very similar to, might even be the same shade. So I do have a little bit of a weak spot for that color. But the Terminator highs, honestly, it's just not a silhouette for me. I don't love it. It's just not for me. So I'm gonna have to give this shoe a pass. Now, the second Terminator high, it is for Morehouse College. Now, it does seem to have a full leather upper sole with that gray swoosh and maroon overlays. And just like the Terminator high for Spelman College, it also has the emblem on the tongue. Also has a custom message on the inside of the tongue. Now, the message says, "Stay excellent, you got this." And more phrasing on the laces, it says "Brotherhood." And on the booty of the shoe, it has Morehouse, and there's also a Morehouse hang tag included. Now, similar to the Spelman College Terminator highs, I'm not a huge fan of the silhouette, so I do like the colorway, just like the Spelman College colorway. I do like it. Maroon is one of the better colors, I think, on sneakers. But again, on this silhouette, I'm just gonna have to give it a pass. Next up, also dropping on December 2nd, is a series of shoes, part of the Doernbecher collection. Now, the Doernbecher collection, if you didn't know, it is Nike's partnership with Oregon Health and Sciences University, specifically the Doernbecher Children's Hospital. They've been doing it as an annual tradition for a while now. So every year, they'll choose some kids that are either born with rare disorders, rare disabilities, and they'll partner with them, create a shoe for them, and all the proceeds of the sales goes to the hospital. So this year, on December 2nd, there's a bunch of these shoes coming out, so I'm gonna go through each of them real quickly. However, I'm not gonna say whether I would pass or buy once or double up on any of them, because this is such a personal project for these kids. They don't need a stupid YouTuber like myself to say whether or not they would pass on a shoe. But I'm gonna go through the details of these shoes anyway, kind of talk about the meaning behind the shoe. I just think it's a really cool thing that Nike does. So first, it is a Nike Dunk High by Macey Bodily. And Macey was born with a brain tumor and narcolepsy. Now this Nike Dunk High features a lot of floral patterns. It's also inspired by Macey's love for baking. So on the tongue, you'll see a cookie. And on the inside of the tongue, you'll actually see her secret recipe for the cookie. I think that's a pretty cool touch. And you'll see the phrase, "She believed she could, so she did." Now the shoe is dropping for $125. The next Doernbecher shoe, it is dropping on the same day for $135. And that is Christopher, not quite sure how to pronounce it, but it is Christopher Musquiz Jr.'s Nike Go Flyease. Now Christopher, unfortunately, when he was young, he was hit by a car while he was biking to school, so that resulted in him losing a leg. So this Flyease shoe is designed specifically for him, because if you didn't know, Flyease is basically Nike's series of shoes, which is made to be worn by people with disabilities, so they can easily slip into the shoe without having to like bend over and tie the laces. And this shoe is inspired by Chris's love for Japanese culture, something we have in common. I also love Japanese culture. I've got a whole sleeve that's dedicated to Japanese art, so I really like the inspiration behind this shoe. So on the upper sole, you'll see a wave pattern that's often seen in Japanese art, and the way it's crisscrossed is inspired by a kimono, which is a traditional Japanese dress. And then you'll also see Mount Fuji on the tongue. That is the highest mountain, the highest peak of Japan. And then the phrase "smarter than you think" on the insoles, as he is a serious student. Also a graphic of a panda and him leaning onto the panda with him sitting on the beach. That is his favorite animal and his favorite place to be. The next Doernbecher shoe is dropping for $150. It is Hailey Leyva's Nike MX1 86 Big Bubble OG. Now, Hailey has had 5 surgeries to fix valves in her heart. As someone that comes from a family with a history of heart issues, this one definitely connected with me. And this shoe, it is inspired by heart. So you'll see 5 hearts, hand-drawn actually, by Hailey herself, that represents each member of the family, and a detachable bracelet with 10 charms. That's her favorite things that she likes to use to customize dolls. And the lines and pattern on the midsole and laces, those are also hand-drawn by her, representing the calm ocean. And the heart on the tongue, I think this is really cool. It's actually hand-drawn by her doctor. And right at the toe box, you'll also see Hailey's name imprinted, as well as a heart graphic next to it. And finally, you'll see gold speckles on the outsole, and that is to represent her love of sparkly things. Now, the MX1 86 Big Bubbles, they obviously have been making a big comeback in 2023. I think this is a really cool silhouette to put it on. And again, like I mentioned, there's a bunch of people in my family that has heart issues in the past, and the MX1 is actually my favorite MX. So this one, it's a very pink shoe, so it might not be something for me, but I really like the inspiration and the design of this shoe. Next Doernbecher shoe for $150. It is the Nike ACG Mountain Fly 2, and that is for Garrett Amerson. Now, Garrett was born 15 weeks early, so he weighed 1 pound and 17 ounces at birth. And this shoe, you might have guessed, that is a tribute to the Pacific Northwest, that region, that landscape. It's very mountainous, a lot of forest there. So you'll see shades of brown on the insole as well as the outsole. That is made to look like hiking mud. And then cloud outlines on the upper sole, and a purple butterfly on the laces, as well as the right sock liner. That was for his twin brother, who unfortunately lost his life. Now, I've never actually worn this shoe before, but even just looking at the shoe without knowing the story behind it, I think the design and the colors used is pretty cool. It's obviously a very outdoors inspired shoe, and I think they did a great job. Now, the next Doernbecher shoe, it is for Sydney Little, and that is on the Nike Cortez for $90. Now, Sydney has a history of arthritis, but she's still a competitive swimmer. So this shoe is inspired by her love for swimming. So you see on this shoe, there's hand-drawn floral prints based on her favorite flower, the hibiscus. And then on the heel, it uses like a hook and loop material, and the patches are hand-drawn as well. And what's really cool, especially for kids, the glow-in-the-dark outsoles, and that is meant to resemble like water reflections within a pool. And lastly, the jewel swoosh, that's also glow-in-the-dark. The final Doernbecher shoe, that is on the Jordan 3, that is for Hugo Molina. Now, Hugo was born with a very rare disorder, so one part of his body grows larger than the other. And the colorway on the shoe, if you live in Seattle, if you are a Seahawks fan, you'll definitely recognize it. It is inspired by his favorite sports team, the Seattle Seahawks. So on the upper sole, majority green and blue with a distinct elephant print on the heel. Hugo also loves gold chains, so you'll see a gold hang tag with his logo. And on the inside of the tongue, one tag lists his heroes, his mom and dad, and the other one is intentionally left blank, so the wearer of the shoe can fill it in. And also on the booty of the shoe, you'll see Hugo's logo with his nickname Juice, and actually a very cool, subtle Jordan Jumpman, kind of see-through, translucent Jumpman on the heel. Also on the outsole has the phrase, "It's okay to be different." I am with Hugo there. Finally, he also has glow-in-the-dark laces. So that's all the Doernbecher shoes that's releasing on December 2nd. I think they're all awesome. There's stories behind them. It gives you so much inspiration. It really is one of the best things that Nike does annually. Now, next up on December 5th, for $200, it is a Nike Air Penny 2 Atlantic Blue. Now, this colorway is an OG colorway for the Air Penny 2. It originally released back in 1996, came back in 2015. Haven't seen it since, so hardcore Penny fans, as well as slightly older sneakerheads that were growing up around that era, I think they're going to appreciate this one. And you'll see Penny's 1 cent logo on the tongue, as well as the booty, the word air at the top of the toe box, and a visible air unit on the heel. Also double pull tabs, that's my least favorite thing about the Air Penny 2s, as well as shoes like the Foamposites. I just think it's one pull tab too many. Penny 2, I think, is a better looking silhouette than the Penny 1. Obviously, it's got the Orlando Magic colors on it. It's something, like I said before, a lot of older sneakerheads are going to appreciate. I was a bit young when Penny was in his prime, when he was first joining the NBA. However, I have seen him play. I have seen a ton of his highlights. I know how great he was back in the day. So for this shoe, I'm going to give it a buy once. Next up on December 7th, for $200, it is the Air Jordan 38 Aqua. Now, I actually think the Jordan 38 is a pretty nice shoe. I think it's one of the better recently released Jordans. The more I look at it, the more I like it. There's some really nice colorways that have come out, specifically the FIBA colorway. I think that looked really nice. But this shoe is like a slap in the face for everyone that's been clamoring for the Jordan 8 Aqua to come back. Not only are they taking the Aqua colorway and they put it on the 5s, the 6s, and now the 38s, They just wouldn't do it on the 8. But the Jordan 38 is kind of a tribute to the Jordan 8. It is the 30th year anniversary of the Jordan 8. And you'll see the X straps on the 38. That's obviously inspired by the straps that you see on the 8s. And also the 3 diamonds on the shoe. That is meant to represent Michael Jordan's 3rd championship that he won wearing the Jordan 8s. And the 41 crosshatches, that's how many points he scored in a finals game back in 1993. Again, when he was wearing the Jordan 8s. So they're going to take a beloved colorway from the Jordan 8, stick it on a shoe that kind of celebrates the Jordan 8, but not give us the Jordan 8 Aqua. Just slap in the face. Regardless, I think the Jordan 38 is a very nice shoe in terms of performance for flat and wide footers like myself. It doesn't feel that comfortable, but it does have a full-length zoom strobel unit as well as Cushlon 3.0 foam, and it's a very, very light shoe. And like I said, it's a very nice looking shoe, but it just feels like they're laughing at us. Why won't you just give us the Jordan 8 Aqua? You can put it on the 38, that's fine, but just give us the Aquas. So just for this reason, just because I feel like they're laughing at us, I'm gonna give this shoe a pass. Next up, on December 8th, for $130, it is the Alpha Air Force 88 Billie Eilish for $130. Now, Billie Eilish has done a bunch of collaborations with Nike before. She's actually had 2 Alpha Air Force 88s earlier this year. Now, the Alpha Force, if you didn't know, that was a shoe that Michael Jordan, for whatever reason, I don't think it's ever been clarified why he did this, but he wore the Alpha Force back in a game against the New York Knicks, and it's kind of become this like legendary story. No one really knows why he did it, but there we go. Now this shoe, it is pretty loud, it is pretty bold, and it's hard not to miss that this full red upper sole in some ways reminds us of the Red Octobers. Don't know if that was intentional or not, but in a vacuum, I think it looks pretty nice. I do like how it looks. Now this specific shoe has custom branding on the box, as well as the insoles, and it comes with a custom bag and black branding on the tongue. I think that really makes this shoe pop. And if you're a Billie Eilish fan, this shoe might be for you. I personally have never listened to her music. I know she is, but just never listened to her music. But I do like how this shoe looks. I don't know if I like it enough to get it, but I'm gonna give it a pass. Next up, on December 8th for $225, it is the Air Jordan 8 SoleFly. And I'm not even gonna pretend I know how to pronounce that, but it essentially means welcome into my home in Spanish. Now, side note, I really wish I could speak Spanish, especially since moving to the US. Spanish is spoken in so many different places in the country, and it's such a beautiful sounding language. I just wish I could speak it. But regardless, I think this is one of the best shoes of the month, honestly. I don't love the Jordan 8s. The more I see it though, it is growing on me, but overall, I don't love it. But the colorways on this shoe, it really, really tickles my fancy. SoleFly is a retailer based in Miami. They've done a bunch of collaborations with Nike before. Last year, the Jordan 13 SoleFlies, that was a pretty underrated shoe, I think. I have those, super comfortable, super nice materials. Now this colorway is inspired by cigar as well as Miami and Cuban culture. And the colors on the shoe, there's like sail, fossil, hints of red and gold. It's just a very, very nice colorway. Very subtle, but it still stands out. And you'll see SoleFly branding on the insoles. The insole pattern is meant to look like Cuban tiles, and the box itself is meant to look like a cigar box. Now the mid panels, it is mesh, and that is meant to be a reference to Cuban upholstery. Another really cool detail. The storytelling is just really, really nice. Overall, I think this execution is just really well done. I really like this shoe. I think SoleFly generally does a very good job, and for this shoe, yeah, I think they did a really, really, really great job. I'm gonna give this shoe a double up. Next up, on December 9th, for $230, it is the Air Jordan 11 Gratitude. Now this is probably a highlight for many people of December, and it's an annual tradition by now. Jordan brand will come out with a Jordan 11 every holiday season. Now this year, they came out with a Jordan 11 Gratitude. This is obviously a reimagining of the Jordan 11 DMPs that originally released in 2006. I've already reviewed the shoe, so if you want to know my thoughts and the details on the shoe, go check out my review. But to quickly summarize, this shoe swaps out the usual ballistic nylon mesh from the Jordan 11 to leather. So it's a leather upper sole. As someone that loves leather, I like that change. This shoe just looks gorgeous. As I said before, if you want to know my thoughts, go watch my review. But in summary, I'm giving this shoe a double up. Next up, on December 12th for $240, it is a Nike Air Foamposite 1 Anthracite. Now, the shoe actually first and originally released in 2007. It came back in 2020, so it wasn't even that long ago. Not quite sure why Nike is bringing this colorway back so soon, but it's back. And I've actually already filmed my review for this shoe. I'm editing it and I'm gonna drop it probably the video after this one. So very soon. So again, if you want to know my detailed thoughts and everything about the shoe, look for that review to come out very shortly. But there's not much to say about this one. It's a Foamposite, it's all black. I love black sneakers. I'm giving this shoe a buy once. Also dropping on December 12th for $240, it is the LeBron 4 Anthracite. So on the same day, 2 anthracite colors, 2 all black sneakers, both actually made out of Foamposite materials, are dropping on the same day. The LeBron 4, the upper sole, it is made out of Foamposite material, super durable, but the LeBron 4s, they're just so heavy. They really are. You could really hurt someone if you threw that shoe at them. I think the colors, like I said before, I'm a black sneaker defender. I like black shoes. I think the LeBron 4 personally is actually my favorite silhouette of all the LeBron shoes. The LeBron 4 Graffiti, that's one of my favorite releases and retros of 2023. So many memories and nostalgia tied to that colorway. Now the Anthracite colorway, it doesn't give me as many fond memories, but I think it's a nice looking shoe. What's special about this one is that on the inside of the tongue, it actually has Bronny James, LeBron James' son, his birthday on the inside. So that's a cool little detail. And LeBron 4, technically there's no midsole on the shoe. It's actually Zoom Air directly in the sock liner itself. I think the shoe has very nice tech specs, but like I said, it's just so heavy. It's a clunker. And the price, it is not cheap. $240 is an expensive shoe. So for this one, I'm gonna give it a pass. Next up on December 14th for $135, it is 3 colorways of the same shoe. It is a Nike SB Dunk Low Powerpuff Girls. Now we've seen images of these shoes floating around forever. I know what the Powerpuff Girls are. I've just never seen an episode of it. I've never seen 1 minute of this cartoon. So these shoes don't really connect with me the same way it might for other people. But just based on the colorways, don't love them. I really just don't love them. Now apart from the colorway, they're all very similar, but there's slight subtle differences between them. So, I gotta read my notes because I just am not familiar with these characters, but Bubbles is the blue Powerpuff Girl. That shoe features a textured upper sole, and the green colorway Buttercup that has more of a shiny upper sole. Not exactly sure what material that is. And the pink colorway Blossom that consists of a nubuck upper sole. But each of these shoes, they do have a translucent outsole, branded tongues as well as the insole. And on the heel of the shoe, it's probably the most unique feature about these shoes, are the eyes of a Powerpuff Girl. Kind of looks weird if you don't get the reference at first. Like if you're not a sneakerhead, you know nothing about this shoe, and you see them on someone's feet, like, this person's feet are just looking back at me. Anyway, I think these shoes, either you really like them because of the nostalgia, because of the connection to the cartoon, or it just doesn't really hit. For me, if I had to choose a color, I would choose the blue colorway. Buttercup, I think that was who it was. I've literally already forgotten, but I think the blue colorway is the best out of those 3. But in a vacuum, for all 3 of them, I don't have that personal connection to it. Might get one just to review, just for the sake of it, but I'm gonna give these shoes a pass. On December 15th for $180, it is the Nike Zoom Kobe 6 Protro Reverse Grinch. Now the Grinch colorway was originally debuted by Kobe Bryant himself on Christmas Day, way back in 2010, and they brought it back recently. That is one of the most popular Kobe retros ever. People really love that shoe. Obviously, it's a very bold and unique looking shoe. So this year, they've essentially reversed the colors on that shoe, hence the name Reverse Grinch. I love Kobe Bryant, one of my favorite players ever. This shoe is beautiful. And the upper sole, it features that scale pattern. Also has a TPU heel counter for stability, as well as the Cushlon midsole and Zoom Air. And Kobe Bryant's signature is also on that heel. I don't really play as much ball as I would like to nowadays, but I think Kobe's shoes are one of the rare basketball shoes, apart from Jordan's, that really crosses over into the mainstream pretty well. He's just such a well-known figure. His shoes aren't so like athletic and basketball specific looking. You could still pull off casually if you really wanted to, but the Grinch colorway, it's a bit loud. Some people can pull it off. I don't think I can, but I still love this shoe. It's one of the best shoes I think that's coming out in 2023. I love Kobe Bryant. So for this one, I'm gonna give it a double up. Next up on December 16th for $210, it is the Air Jordan 3 Navy. Now I don't know if people are calling this the Georgetown right now. Obviously a Air Jordan 3 Midnight Navy colorway released, was it last year or 2 years ago? Very recently. That shoe is obviously Georgetown inspired. Now this colorway, it's a bit more simple, a bit more easy to wear. It's predominantly a white sneaker, It was supposed to come out in January, but it got pushed all the way up, so it's dropping on December 16th. And it's a pretty simple colorway, just a regular Jordan 3 with hints of that navy blue. Very reminiscent to the Jordan 3 Wizards that dropped this year as well. Won't give us the true blues, they just refuse to do so, but they'll give us every other shade. Now the Jordan 3s is one of those silhouettes, very hard to mess up. If you keep it simple, generally works. But even though I think this is a clean colorway, I do have the Wizards colorway already. I don't usually pass on Jordan 3s, but yeah, there's nothing special enough about this shoe. I'm gonna have to give it a pass. Next up, on December 19th for $130, it is the Nike KD3 Christmas. Now the KD3 is probably my favorite Kevin Durant signature shoe. I just really like the shape, I really like how it looks. There's a lot of cool colorways for the KD3. Now this colorway specifically, it first dropped in 2010 on Christmas Day, way back then. He dropped 44 points against the Denver Nuggets, and it's obviously a very bold looking shoe. So it features a shiny leather upper sole with fly wire on the forefoot area. Also features zoom air cushioning with that distinct video game like buttons on the heel of the shoe that consists of his number as well as his initials. I don't buy as many like basketball specific shoes as I used to when I was younger, but sometimes I make an exception, like the KD3 Arm Pearls that dropped earlier this year. Love that shoe, it looks so nice. Had to get those. I think this one, even though I don't really wear a lot of yellow, yeah, something about it. Something about it really gets me. I like this shoe a lot. I'm gonna give this shoe not enough to be a double up, so I'm gonna give it a buy once. Next up, on December 19th is the Nike Mac Attack Travis Scott. Now I don't actually know if the shoe is confirmed, that might change. Actually, any shoe on this list might change, but I wouldn't be surprised if this shoe specifically was not confirmed and it maybe got pushed back or moved around. But right now, it's dropping on December 19th. Now, Travis Scott actually played a pretty big role in bringing back the Mac Attack silhouette this year. He was with John McEnroe, who this shoe was initially developed for, and reintroduced and relaunched this silhouette. So since then, we've seen the OG colorway come back, and we've seen a bunch of collaborations with Social Status. Now this one, it is the OG colorway, but it's got Travis Scott's branding, the reverse swoosh, as well as Cactus Jack on the booty of the shoe. And because of those reasons, it's probably gonna sell out in like 1 minute. It also features the Mac Attack checkerboard pattern on the tongue. I actually really like how that looks. Me personally, I don't really love that reverse swoosh. I think Travis Scott has had some really nice collaborations with Jordan Brand, but those I think are really nice because of the colorway, not really because of that reverse swoosh. On this shoe, I don't love the Mac Attacks, I gotta be honest. For my white feet, I don't feel like it's that comfortable. I don't really think the silhouette's that nice. And this colorway, I think it's okay. I don't think it's the best. So even with Travis Scott behind it, even with his branding on this shoe, I'm gonna give this shoe a pass. Next up, on December 20th for $200, it is the Air Jordan 14 black and white. Now, when I was in Taiwan on vacation in October, this shoe was actually all over the place already. So it dropped in Asia quite a while ago. I've already filmed and recorded a review of this shoe. Will come out closer to the release date of this shoe. So if you want to know my detailed thoughts, again, wait for my review to come out. A quick summary, this is a very simple colorway, black and white, panda colorway if you must call it that. And the upper sole of the shoe, it's a full suede upper sole. So if you like suede and you like Jordan 14s, you'll probably like this one. Now the Jordan 14s, I think personally, for my feet, are one of the more comfortable Jordans. It's lightweight, it feels nice around my feet. It's not super soft, but also not super flat to the ground. It's not my favorite silhouette ever, but when it comes in a colorway this simple, pretty hard to deny. I'm giving this shoe a buy once. And finally, to round out the list, on December 27th for $180, it is the Nike Zoom Kobe 4 Protro Black Mamba. So this is another Kobe Protro for the month of December. Next year, it looks like there's going to be a lot of nice Kobe retros coming back. Can't wait for that. But this Black Mamba shoe, as a black sneaker defender, it's right up my alley. I think the Kobe 4s are one of the best looking shoes, one of the best looking basketball shoes, period. I really like how it looks. So this shoe features a nubuck base layer with snakeskin scale-like overlays. Again, obviously, comes with a Phylon midsole as well as a large Zoom Air unit. And the coolest thing that makes this shoe pop is Kobe's signature on the heel. It is gold. That's the only part that's not black on this shoe, and I love it. I love it. I'm just a sucker for black shoes with a tiny bit of another color to make it pop. Whew. Actually, call me crazy if I had to choose between the reverse Grinch and this one. Gonna call me nuts. But I might take this one. I'm giving the shoe a double up. So that's it. Thanks for watching. So inclined, let me know what shoes you would double up on and which ones you think are trash and you would pass on. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.